Hello, hello. It is 9:15 p.m. now, Wednesday night, and we are doing attempt number 2 at the live Q&A. This morning, my phone kept locking up, wasn't letting me do these lives. So we are back in business now, trying tonight, and I told you I was going to hop back on here. So for those of you who came this morning and couldn't make it live right now, I'm going to tag all of you who asked your questions to make sure that I can be there for you, because I know there were actually a lot of you there this morning at our normal 10:30. For those of you who are new to the group, just to give you a little rundown, we do this every week. Every Monday we have a question thread with a theme. Last week was newborns and sleep fighting. This week is cat naps, the hows, the whys. We're going to get really nitty gritty and talk about cat naps and why they're happening and what you can do to prevent them, because we can talk, up the wall about why they're happening, which is all fine and dandy, but I'm sure you all want to learn how to change that and how to fix that. So we're going to talk about that. Every Monday we have the question thread where you post your questions, and whoever posts their questions in that Monday thread, I usually come on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 a.m., but doing it now tonight a little later just because we had that tech issue this morning and things weren't working. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not such a night person, hence all of what I do of being a sleep expert, but I for sure wanted to come in. I didn't want to leave any of you waiting any longer. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to go through the questions, but what I want to do, and I did this morning, so if any of you are watching this replay and we're here this morning also, I apologize if it's a little bit redundant, but I started off by saying, a few weeks ago, we've had this group already for a few weeks, but a good few weeks ago, we had a certain thread that was nap battles or fighting naps. This is similar, but a little bit different. So a lot of the ideas and themes you're going to see kind of overlap a little bit, but if you haven't seen that particular live and that video, go back. I'll post it down below here. We talk a lot about how to actually ascertain the ideal time to present naps for your child, because when you actually give naps and offer naps has a lot to do with how your child responds to nap. Hi, Allah. Okay, good. I'm glad you came again tonight. Sorry about this morning. I saw you post another question. We're going to get to that. In any case, just to regress a little and talk about that for a minute before delving deep with your questions, 2 main contributing factors that cause catnapping. Catnapping means, for those of you who don't know, who magically have babies that sleep for hours and hours on end during the day, catnapping means little 20, 30-minute spells of sleep randomly throughout the day. Some babies might be refreshed from this little short catnap, and some babies will be exhausted, overtired messes, and it's just a vicious cycle that repeats itself. So number one, and I talk about this a lot in that video, so like I said, check it out. I'm going to post it when I'm done here with this live. When you offer the naps, when you miss your child's ideal spot for sleep, not only do they have a difficult time falling asleep initially, but it also very much inhibits their ability to remain asleep and transition to the next sleep cycle. Typically, a sleep cycle is about this 20-30 minute mark, and when your baby is overtired, when you offer a nap, or any sleep time for that matter, but for the purpose of this conversation, when you offer a nap too late when your baby is overtired, aside from the fact that they're going to be fighting sleep, it in essence causes them to wake up earlier and have these cat naps because they're overtired and their bodies are kind of in this sleep fighting mode that they're not able to peacefully transition to the next sleep cycle. So that's typically the most common reason that cat naps happen. Backing on that, another video we did a while back was about night wake-ups and bedtime battles, and we talked a lot about sleep dependencies, and I've actually been seeing this in the group a lot recently, a lot of questions about sleep dependencies and crutches and babies needing to nurse and babies needing to be held and what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing. I'm not going to get into that now in terms of what's right, what's wrong. What's right is whatever you decide is right, and that's what this group is about. But I will say, when a baby falls asleep in a certain scenario, being rocked, being held, being bounced, being nursed, being in the motion of the car, motion of the stroller, whatever the case may be, they transition to sleep and complete sleep cycle 1, which I just said a few minutes ago is about that 20-30 minute mark. Now, after 20-30 minutes, scientifically, their bodies start to transition and phase out of that sleep cycle before transitioning to sleep cycle 2. And in that in-between phase, it's called a partial awakening. It's exactly what it sounds like. Their bodies wake up, see that, hey, do you mind turning that off for a second? Hang on, there's some background noise bugging me. You mind turning that off, whatever it is? Thanks. Sorry. Usually I'm all alone during the day. So when they wake up during that partial awakening, and they have a difficult time at that point transitioning to the next sleep cycle because they constantly need you to recreate that sleep environment for them. But unlike the nights when your baby's up all night, nursing, bouncing, being padded, being rocked, your baby at that point fights sleep so much more because it's daytime, how his body reacts to circadian rhythms, the sunlight, and just by default that he's able to fight sleep more, he wakes up fully and can't transition back to sleep. So these two reasons are why catnapping happens. Now, I'm not going to say catnapping is always bad. In some cases, it works for certain babies, but in a lot of other cases, babies are overtired and don't get enough sleep. So that's my little intro. Okay, let's go to the questions. And I know I started answering them this morning, so I apologize. And again, just to let you all know who are new to the group, don't look at my messy room over here. We are going through this Monday's thread, Ask Your Questions About Catnaps, the whys and the hows. And we have these every Monday with a different theme. I try to pop in when I can about other questions, but it's been a little busy recently. Okay, Katie, is there any way to get my 5.5-month-old to nap for longer than 20 to 30 minutes? Will this just change as he gets older, or do I need to try to help him sleep better? So this is a great question, Katie. I wish I could tell you the exact answer because I don't know enough about your situation. I don't know enough about your baby, but I will tell you. A 5.5-month-old baby typically cannot stay awake longer than 2 to 2.5 hours. I started talking about this morning, okay? After that 2.5 window, your baby starts reaching that point of no return and fight sleep, and it's just going to cause a cat nap, like I just talked about a few minutes ago, right? When you offer the nap too late, your baby's actually going to wake up earlier and sets his internal clock shifted to fight, sleep, and have these cat naps. So number one, make sure your baby's not staying awake too long, because if he's awake too long, anything you do is going to very much cause him to wake up early from his nap, okay? That's number one. Number two, how is he falling asleep for his naps? Is he always being held? Is he always being roused? Is he always being rocked? Is he always being patted? When he wakes up, he wants you to recreate this environment for him because he's transitioned out of that first sleep cycle and can't fall back asleep. So because of that, he needs your help. But boom, he's already very much awake and can't fall back asleep. So number one, it's possible if you know about the sleep window and you've been watching some of these videos that your baby might not exceed that 2.5 hour awake time, but he's taking 4 naps a day, 5 naps a day if they're only 20 minutes. What you want to try to do is fuse those together. And I'm just giving you an average. Obviously, every baby is different, but I'd like to see a 5.5-month-old baby taking about 3 naps a day, possibly 4 if one is a lot shorter. So what you want to do is actually help your baby transition back to sleep. Now, this is assuming he's on a good nap routine. If you don't have a good nap schedule set up, you got to backtrack a little bit with that. Watch some of the past videos we've done about naps, about schedules, about routines, because you want to make sure that everything is set up from the ground up before even tackling how to teach him how to sleep. So assuming you have a good nap structure, a predictable nap structure, you know what your baby's sleep needs are, okay, fine. If not, move back to the other videos to check that out. If you have that in place, Katie, what you want to actually do is help your baby transition back to sleep. Just because he wakes up after 20, 30 minutes does not necessarily mean that's what his body needs to be doing. It's just what his body has been conditioned to do because of the dependency on you or because he's so regulated to taking cat naps that his body is just ready to wake up like an internal alarm clock. Help him fall back asleep, even if it means nursing, even if it means holding, even if it means helping, even if it means bouncing, even if it means driving around the block for 10 minutes to get him back to sleep. Do whatever you can to help his body transition back to sleep. And after you do this for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, one of two things will happen. Either he'll continue taking cat naps and that's what his body wants to do. Just because it's one way for one baby doesn't mean it's the same for another. They're not machines here. Or you might see that his 20-minute naps start lengthening a little, start turning into 45-minute naps, start turning into an hour nap because he gets acclimated and used to sleeping longer because you always help him transition back asleep. And at that point, then you can start working on phasing out the sleep dependency, teaching him how to fall asleep on his own, teaching him how to transition back to sleep on his own. There's a lot of different methods. I talk about it a lot in the night waking thread, I think. I have a lot of different threads I'm referring to. So definitely go back, watch all the videos if you're just joining us. But you definitely want to go through everything and nag what the sleep dependency is in the bud, but that's only after step 1, making sure he has a good routine. Step 2, helping his body learn to sleep longer. And then step 3, starting to phase off the sleep dependency using whatever method you want. If you're gung-ho, cry it out, fine. If you want a gentler approach, you can look at some of my methods that I've outlined there. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Katie. Let me know how it goes. Okay. Kayla. Oh, and you were on this morning, Kayla, before everything froze. So I will tag you so we could make sure. Let's see what Kayla wrote. My 9-month-old never sleeps more than 30 to 45 minutes. Yes, 45 minutes can be a cat nap too. I've been working on your strategies and I've gotten him to sleep without nursing and have found his optimal sleep window. Okay, that is awesome, Kayla. Progress. Okay, by the way, Kayla is one of my daughter's names. I love your name. Okay, now, all right. Okay, so you found a sleep window, go sleep on his own. However, it seems that the window is every 2 hours. 2 hours seems to be his max wake time. This makes for several naps a day. Is this normal for his age? Am I doing something wrong? He does not seem rested at night and is a mess, and I keep putting him down for several cat naps. Help! Okay, so yes, it's normal, Kayla. Babies under a year, normally their window, giving you a total statistical average, okay? But normally their window is around the 2 to 3 hour mark of awake time. So he's on the lower end, but it's nothing unheard of. You might start seeing as he gets closer to 10 months, he might be able to stay awake for 2.5 hours. You might see certain points of the day are 2 hours, other points of the day are 2.5 hours, but I'm okay with that. What I want to see happen is that not that every single nap is 45 minutes. A 9-month-old, cumulatively, I would like to see get and just averages here, okay? If you download my sleep guide, my free baby sleep guide, which you can get on my website, I do have a bunch of different, I have a chart there on there that talks about the different averages and the amounts of sleep. But a 9-month-old, just give or take, I'd like to see taking about 3 to 3.5 hours of day sleep distributed between 2 naps or 3 naps. So probably what's happening if your baby is awake every 2 hours, if your baby stays awake for 2 hours only and is only taking 45-minute naps, I'm assuming you're getting like 4 naps in there a day. That's a lot. So number one, make sure that that sleep window is correct. It's possible the sleep window could be extended a little bit. I don't want you to make it too much. I don't want you to suddenly jump from 2 hours to 3 hours because your baby's going to get so overtired he's going to fight it. And I said it's a sensitive window. But that window goes both directions. And I've never said this before because it never came up. Just like you don't want to keep your baby awake too long, you also don't want to put your baby to sleep too early. This window is a window, right? There are sides to a window in a box. You don't want to go out of the box, but you also don't want to offer a nap too early because that could also cause a cat nap, okay? I'm not trying to confuse you, but log your baby's habits. Check things out for a few days and see, oh, well, you know what? He's rubbing his eyes at this time, and I thought he was really tired, but really when he's in his crib, or really when I start rocking him or helping him to sleep, it takes another half an hour to get him to sleep. So it's possible you might start winding him down at 2 hours, Kayla, but really he's not falling asleep till close to 2.5 hours later, or maybe later. Just keep your eyes on that. Make sure you have a good routine set up. And what is his sleep dependency? Like I just asked Katie, how's he falling asleep? What's happening when he wakes up? You said he never seems rested. He's always exhausted. What's going on there, and how can you help him transition back to sleep during that little window from sleep cycle 1 to sleep cycle 2 where he needs your help? What can you do to help him fall back asleep? Do you need to nurse him? Do you need to rock him? Do you need to hold him? Do you need to pat him? Now, again, long-term solution, no, I'm not telling all of you to like quit your jobs and stay at home with your babies all day long so they can nap, or tell the daycare that they must walk around the block 700 times to keep your baby sleeping. I'm just saying it's a short term to teach their bodies to transition from sleep cycle to sleep cycle. Once you have that down, then you can work on getting rid of that dependency, okay? And we'll talk about that in another upcoming video soon, but check out the previous videos because we talk a lot about sleep dependencies, how to get rid of those sleep dependencies, okay? I hope this helps you, Kayla. Christina, okay, let's see. My 7-month-old has been a catnapping since he was about 3 months old with an odd long nap, got it. Okay, so randomly he'd have a longer nap of an hour and a half to 2 hours. She started daycare in January and her naps are a mess. She's been fighting naps at daycare and she can stay awake for up to 7 hours when I pick her up in the afternoon. 7 hours for a 7-month-old? Okay, we need to talk about this. Okay. We try to compensate by putting her to bed earlier, but we really want to get her to nap better at daycare too. Yes, obviously you do. Okay. During the weekend, she's doing better, having a 1-hour nap, then 2 short naps in the afternoon. Please help. Okay. So I said a sleep window under a year is usually 2 to 3 hours. 7 hours is ridiculously long. So first of all, I'm curious, when you say she's awake for 7 hours straight, or the daycare tells you she's awake for 7 hours straight, I find that almost impossible. It's definitely something that can happen. I get surprises all the time, but I'm curious if she's nodding off for like 5 minutes there, 10 minutes there, 12 minutes there. Believe it or not, sometimes 12 to 20 minutes is enough sleep for a baby to think that they are rested. So have ask them and try to like have them be on top of her for a day or so and say, is she really awake for 7 hours straight, or is she having little naps randomly? Is she having little times? Hi, Roxa. Sorry, just seeing you on now. Is she having little times where she is having little cat spells of sleep? All right, that's number one. Number two, what are you doing at home that's so different? If you know she's napping well at home on the weekends, but when she's at daycare, it's a disaster, what is going on and what is different? Okay, I know with, turning off my computer, with one of the moms working in my sleep group right now has a baby that will not nap well at daycare, but naps beautifully at home. And we realized, really, we just have to mirror the same thing that she's doing at home. Have them do it at daycare also. It doesn't have to be exact. Your 7-month-old is smart. She knows the difference when she's home with mommy versus when she's at daycare. But have them try to incorporate different ideas that you do to help her. Even if you can bring a certain blanket from home, or if you can bring some type of transitional object or a lovey to help soothe her, that's going to be a lot better for her, and that's going to be a lot to help her. But at the end of the day, what are her sleep dependencies? At home, does she nurse? And at daycare, she's in a room with a bunch of different babies and it's loud and the environment is stimulating. Try to assess the situation, because if you know what is causing the problem, it's a lot easier to fix it. So number one, how can you mirror what's happening at daycare? How can you have daycare mirror what's happening at home to make it better? And actually, is she really staying awake for 7 hours total? Okay, that's just a little like homework to do. All right, Christina, after you have that figured out, try to get a nap routine set up with her. I would say to not even work on the sleep dependency. If she's that overtired that she's fighting sleep so much, you really, really, really want to get her on a good nap structure. So I talked about this a little bit, but go back and do some homework. Aside from you figuring that out, I really want, Christina, I want you to go and watch the nap fighting video. It was one of the first videos we did, but now I have them all labeled, so you can go to the video section, check them out. It's the nap fighting video. It's going to help you learn how to catch her at the ideal time so she's not going to get overtired, because she sounds like she's getting to this vicious cycle of the second wind, that once she misses that opportune time to sleep, she's getting more overtired, and then it's just like no matter what you do, she's not going to go to sleep. Okay, so you have a lot of work. I want you to check in with us and let us know how it's doing, my dear. Oh, some questions here. Eileen, my baby goes to sleep and wakes up after an hour or two of screaming. Eileen, are you talking about cat naps? Are you talking about an hour or two? I guess that's not a cat nap. Are you talking about night wake-ups? There, she's waking up screaming, Eileen. Megan, watching exciting for some tips for your 4-month-olds. Okay, great. I don't know if you posted a question, Megan, but we'll get there. But Eileen, let me know. We're talking about naps specifically here, but if we have time at the end, I'm happy to answer some questions about bedtime. It is bedtime. Okay, so we'll try to get to that in a few minutes. Let's go down to the questions first that are here, because I want to just go through the thread of the people who are waiting for this morning, and we had the technical fail. Okay, Lisa. My 5-month-old little girl has suddenly started napping only 20 minutes, almost exactly to the minute. This happens if I put her down in her crib. If I let her sleep on me, she sleeps longer. What can I do to break this cycle and get her back to longer naps? At night, she goes down and settles herself to sleep and resettles during the night. She just doesn't seem to be able to do this during the day. That is a very common problem, Lisa. And it's so clear to me that this is exactly what's happening. Okay, you know she can fall asleep by herself. She does it at bedtime. You know she can transition back to sleep by herself. She does it in the middle of the night. Naps, babies are able to fight so much more than days because of, like I said in the beginning of this video here, because of the way their bodies are transitioning with the day cycles and the light cycles and the night cycles and the moon and all the fun, physiological things that are happening. Aside from that, babies can fight sleep so much during the day. I just told Christina 7 hours sounded impossible, but it's not unheard of. Babies can fight sleep a lot more during the day than they can at night. And you see so vividly the reason, Lisa, that she sleeps so well when she's on you is exactly like we just outlined, right? She's fallen asleep, pressed up against your body. After 20, 30 minutes, begins to have this little space of partial awakening where she's transitioning to the next sleep cycle. But guess what? Oh, I'm still laying on mommy in my bed. Awesome. I'm going to go back to sleep. So that's why she can take such long naps during the day, because she's constantly having your help throughout the transitions from sleep cycle to sleep cycle, that she can always remain asleep. And when she's in her crib, does she fall asleep by herself? I'm not sure if she falls asleep by herself initially in her crib, or you hold her to sleep and then she's in her crib. But I would definitely recommend starting to implement the same tactics that you use at bedtime in the middle of the night, because you definitely want to do whatever you can to mirror what you already have that's successful. If you know that she knows how to settle herself to sleep at bedtime beautifully and resettle her back to sleep in the middle of the night, you should definitely do whatever you can. Oh, Amber, I love you too. You should definitely do whatever you can to mirror that during the day, because if you have something set up that already works, you want to do whatever you can to make sure that that continues to be successful. So sit down and have a talk with yourself. What's working at bedtime? What's working in the middle of the night? What steps did you have to take to get there? And try to do the same thing for naps. Now, naps, she might fight a little more just by default of what naps are, like we said, right? Babies fight naps, fight naps, fight naps so much more. But if you're consistent and you stick with it, day 1, day 2, day 3, nap 1, nap 2, nap 3, after 4 or 5 days, she will start catching on. Also because it's not such a foreign concept and she knows how to do it in the night. I would not recommend going gung-ho nap training and teaching your baby how to fall asleep independently. Like I just told everyone else, I was very vague with that. But if you have a system down, just begin incorporating it already for the daytime also. But, and the big but, is why did her naps start to get a lot shorter recently? And I just missed that part. It could be that her sleep window is starting to be extended also, Lisa. So make sure that you're catching her at the right time, and make sure you have a routine set up. Make sure you're not offering her naps too late. Make sure you're not offering her naps too early, and make sure that you're catching her that sweet spot for sleep, because that could independently be causing her naps to be short. But like I said, it's all a big picture. So make sure the timing is on, and make sure that you can begin incorporating ideas to help her fall asleep just like she does at bedtime. Terry, that explains why he has so many false starts at night. Yeah, exactly, because he can't transition back to sleep all night. Okay. Oh, Terry, we're at your question now too. So here we go, dear. All right. Let's see all the replies here first. Okay. Oh, Megan replied to you. Okay. So Terry, my son is 4 months and the longest nap he ever takes is 45 minutes. Is he always going to be a cat napper, or is there a way to get him sleep longer? Okay. So Terry, you know exactly what's happening now, right? Number one, are you catching him at that ideal sleep window? A 4-month-old, I will tell you, do not exceed more than 2 hours of awake time. All right? I know I don't always tell anyone. I'm like, oh, it's a little more general. I have yet to find a 4-month-old that can stay awake comfortably in that sleep window longer than 2 hours. So that means you want to catch him at the 2-hour mark, Terry. And I don't mean starting to wind him down at 2 hours. I mean at an hour 45 minutes, start winding him down so he is asleep at 2 hours, because most 4-month-olds, I really have, in 10 years of doing this, I have yet to see a baby under 4 months who's able. He could be the exception and will surprise me, right? Get surprises all the time, but it's really important you don't let him reach that point of no return, because falling asleep might be a cinch, but transitioning back to sleep might be his issue. And the issue might be caused because he's going to sleep too late past his window. So try to catch him at the right time. Make sure you have a good system set up. Make sure you have a good routine set up. Go watch that video on nap fighting. Go watch that video we talked about sleep fighting and everything, to make sure that you have a proper structure and a good consistent nap routine, because that's the baseline for success with all of you and all of your questions. Then, once you have that, like I told Katie, like I told Christina, start helping him transition back to sleep by getting his internal clock set and used to sleeping longer by holding, nursing, bouncing, shaking, doing whatever you can to help him. And then once that's there, step number 3, incorporating ideas to start weaning him off of that dependency once his body's already used to sleeping longer. Okay? I hope that helps you, Terry. And then Megan, who is watching now, I think, also said that she's in the same boat. My 4-month-old only naps 45 minutes. He goes down after being awake for an hour and a half. He sleeps pretty well at night. Is this normal? Should he be napping longer or extend his wake time? Okay. Oh, right. You're watching live now. I don't know if you meant this morning's fail or now. But it's hard to say. Some babies at 4 months, an hour and a half is great. Definitely not longer than 2 hours, Megan. That's what I would say. But it's probably more of a sleep dependency issue. If he falls asleep so well and is sleeping well at night, I would kind of shift your focus onto how he's falling asleep for naps, what he's doing, and how you're helping him fall back asleep. So, oh, you're watching now. Awesome. So, Megan, tell us while I go to the next question, and we'll come back to you. Tell me, how does he fall asleep for naps? What is he doing? I'm just pulling up the next questions here, so we're ready. What is he doing, Megan, at naps? How do you get him to fall asleep for a nap? What do you do to help him fall asleep for a nap? What do you do when he wakes up 45 minutes? Is he happy at 45 minutes? Give us a little bit of a rundown in terms of what is happening with that, because then I can guide you a little more. If you don't answer, I'll still give you something, but you're watching now, so let me know what that looks like a little bit, okay? I would assume he's probably falling asleep with a sleep dependency. You're either holding him, or you're rocking him, or you're feeding him, or you're doing something, because most babies this age still have a very strong sleep dependency, unless you are like, what was her name? Lisa, or Terry. No, Lisa, who has her baby fall asleep pretty well on her own. But if that's the issue, make sure you have a good nap structure set up. Make sure that you're really catching him at the window, and keep your eyes on him. Is 1.5 hours better? Is 2 hours better? What is really what that ideal sweet spot is for sleep, because you don't want to put him down too early, and you don't want to put him down too late. So you want to make sure you're catching him at that ideal time, number one. Number two, depending on what you say, and you didn't write back yet, okay, depending on what you think that sleep dependency is, use it to your full advantage, and at that 45-minute mark, help him fall back asleep. Use that method that you know is successful to hold him, rock him, bounce him, shake him, nurse him, take him for a drive, rock him in the stroller, whatever, to help him fall back to sleep till his body gets used to, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to like wake up and my clock isn't set for 45 minutes exactly. I can sleep an hour. I can sleep 1.5 hours. I can sleep 2 hours. Once that is going well, then you go to step 3 of teaching his body to get rid of the sleep dependency. And we've talked about this a lot. We talked about this a lot. Just saying hi to my husband. We talked about this a lot in a few different things, in a few different videos, talking about how to make sure you can get off that sleep dependency using something you are comfortable with. Oh, let's see what you wrote here, Megan. You normally rock him to sleep, but lately you've tried a rock and play, lovey, and a passy, and he goes down okay. So he's got the rocking, the lovey, whatever you use, blankie, whatever it is, and the pacifier. He's got 3 sleep dependencies, but he wakes up after 45 minutes and he won't go back to sleep. If you put him on your chest, you try rocking him and he won't go back to sleep. So try more, number one. Make sure that you're catching him at that right time for what his body wants to do, number one. Number two, you can try this. I'm not the biggest fan of it, so I didn't talk about it. It sometimes does work. You can try catching him before 45 minutes. Like if you know, someone here wrote 20 minutes on the dot, their baby wakes up. If you know 45 minutes on the dot, he always wakes up, try going in at 40 minutes and actually holding him while he's already sleeping, rocking him, putting him back in that rock and play, and then it can actually help him get over that hump where he doesn't actually wake up. I don't like to do it for babies this age. I recommend it more for like real newborns, babies under a month, 2 months. You can try it and see if it works, because it's all just about teaching his body to stay asleep longer and then moving on to getting rid of the sleep dependency. Okay, all right, Sarah, my 5-month-old baby sleeps great during the day at daycare and not great at home. How do I get him to take 2-hour naps in his crib like he does at home in daycare? There will be, okay, I'm watching. All right, she said, will there be a recording? Of course there's a recording. There's a replay right here. Pleasure, Megan. So Sarah, if you know, same thing, opposite of what I just told someone else, if they have a system that works in daycare, what are they doing and how can you make sure that you do it at home too? So sit down with them and see, are they catching him maybe at the right sleep window? Are they making sure that he's not getting overtired? Are they using a certain mechanism to help him sleep that he really loves and really enjoys? Talk to them and try to mirror whatever they're doing at daycare, mirror at home also, because that's going to help him if obviously you know you have a system that works. But at the end of the day, he's smart and he knows when I'm with mommy, I do one thing, and when I'm at daycare, I do another thing, and you can try to mirror it and like, you know, wear the same perfume as the babysitter and do everything you can to make sure that it's as similar as possible, and he still fight it because he's smart and he knows he's with mommy, and he knows if you nurse him, he knows you can nurse him. But even if you're not nursing him and he's bottle fed, he knows when he's with you and he knows what it is. So use all these other ideas. Make sure you're catching him at the right window and try to get rid of whatever sleep dependency you have. Because I actually find this happens a lot, Sarah, that at daycare, or it could be the opposite situation, but at daycare, the baby always has a sleep dependency, is always being rocked to sleep, but at home, mom thinks, well, he should be sleeping in his crib all the time, and she does that, when really at daycare they're doing something else. Or vice versa. He'll sleep by himself at daycare all the time, and mom thinks he always needs the stroller. Have a unified front. Make sure that whatever they're doing there, you're doing at home too, so you can find a middle ground to have some consistent sleep environment and that common baseline with everything that you do. Okay. Danielle. My daughter will turn 5 months tomorrow. We have a lot of 5-month-old babies here. We should start a club. I don't have a 5-month-old. But my daughter will turn 5 months tomorrow. I've always put her down for a nap every 2 hours to make sure she isn't getting overtired. Good. Sometimes she'll sleep an hour in the morning, but usually it's 45 minutes. She used to be sleeping on the go due to preschool drop-offs and pickups. So will she sleep longer? She'll sleep longer in the car than at home. I did the same routine for my older daughter, and she's always would sleep about 2 hours. What am I missing? So you know she sleeps longer in the car. Why now, Danielle? Because she has that constant motion. She's falling asleep with the motion. She wakes up from the sleep cycle and starts transitioning to the next sleep cycle with the motion, 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 motion. She always has the motion. The motion is what she's dependent on, and the motion is what helps her sleep. So obviously she's going to take a longer nap when she's in the car than when you're at home. The question is, what ideas can you enlist at home to help extend that nap? Can you hold her and rock her? Do you have like a rock and play type of situation with vibration that she likes? Not as a long-term goal. I don't want any of you leaving this thinking, oh my gosh, Batya told me that the only solution for good naps is to hold my baby for 5 hours. No, I'm just talking about a transitional frame, a transitional time when you're teaching your baby's body to last longer before moving into independent sleeping and getting rid of the sleep dependency. I just want to be clear. I don't want any of you walking away thinking this is like the end all be all. It's just a step in the road, okay? But I want you to try to enlist whatever you can, Danielle, so that way you can help your baby learn to sleep well at home just like she does in the car, okay? Lena. My 6-month-old during birth barely naps. He is never tired. He naps only 2, sometimes 3 times a day, if only on me. Naps can be from 39 minutes to 2 hours. He wakes up around 7. Whoops. Lena, where'd you go? Okay. Hang on, I'm trying to look where this started. Okay, he wakes up around 7 and will go down 1.5 hours the first nap, second hour around 3 hours. Okay, this is a long one. I'm going to look at this. I want to help you, but let me go through the other questions that were posted. We only have one more question here, Lena, and then I'm going to go through these here. You do have a swing you'll transfer once we get out of the car, keep sleeping, but she wakes up. Oh, back to Danielle. Yeah, so that's because you're already moving her from one sleep environment to the other. She's falling asleep in the car. She's woken up, doesn't have the motion. There's different sound of noise. There's different stimulation. There's different sleep environment. Then she's suddenly put into her swing. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Wherever she is, you want her to stay so she can learn how to do it, because even light transitions, if you have, excuse me, let me take some water. My nifty little water bottle. Hang on. Makes a nice chugging noise. Even if your baby is adaptable, a lot of babies when they're sleeping are a lot more sensitive. So definitely, you know, that transfer and that transition, Danielle, could definitely make it hard on her. So do whatever you can to create the most conducive sleep environment by having it be consistent. Listen, you can't prevent it. If you're, you know, you have your older child and you're getting out of the car, you're not going to leave your baby in the car so she can sleep, but do whatever you can to control it as best as possible to help her. Okay, Allah. Unrelated. Okay, so we're going to get back to this in a second. Almost 1.5 months, work really hard to keep wake time short. Okay, I'm just going to go to the questions that are not here, but let me first go to the nap questions here on the live, and then we'll go to the unrelated questions. Let me go up. Megan, we answered. Terry, we answered. Eileen, we talked about a little. I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. Eileen, let's just see who else is here. Okay, Eileen. You said your baby goes to sleep and wakes up after an hour or 2 of screaming. So that could be from so many things. And we'll talk about this in a night wake up thread that we're going to start again soon. But in a question answer about night wake ups. But a baby waking up a few hours after going to sleep is usually a telltale sign to me that the baby's overtired. So I would tell you, Eileen, and especially if you're having these catnap issues during the day, nag your routine in the bud. Do whatever you can to get that ideal routine set up. Do whatever you can to make sure you're not missing the ideal sleep window, your baby's not getting too overtired, and that you have things set up in a proper way that your baby's not going to fight sleep. Because otherwise, a baby that fights sleep, you might think, what does that have to do with the nights? But it's all a 24-hour rolling cycle, and I tell people this all the time. Day affects night, which affects the following day, and it's a positive rolling cycle. It's supposed to be, but oftentimes it turns into a vicious snowball effect, and that's what you want to avoid, Eileen. Okay. Other questions here. Okay, Megan, we answered. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to Lena's question. My 6-month-old since birth barely naps. He's never tired. Sorry, I know I started reading, but I have to remember what we're on. He naps 2, sometimes 3 times a day on me. Naps can be from 39 minutes to 2 hours. He wakes up around 7, will go down and nap around 11 a.m. for an average of 1.5 hours. Outside in the stroller, I'm just skimming through this. He'll take a third nap from the stroller. He's a very light sleeper and barely naps. Falls asleep nursing or pushing the stroller. At night, he wakes up every hour. Big red flashing lights to me, Lena. Your baby is so overtired, okay? If your baby's waking up at 7 in the morning and fighting sleep till 11, that is 4 hours of awake time. I'm telling you that it shouldn't really elongate 2.5, maybe 3 if you have an exceptionally, developed 6-month-old. But a 6-month-old probably should not be kept awake longer than 2.5 hours. So what's probably happening, Lena, is that you are attempting to introduce a nap when you've already reached that sweet spot for sleep, and your baby's already overtired, and no matter what you do, he's not going to go to sleep. So I would like you to log your baby's habits, and for a few days, you will see that he is showing you signs of irritability and begging for a nap much earlier than you're offering it probably. If he's waking up at 7, he's for sure ready by 9 or 9:30 to go to sleep, but you might not see it. You might see he's just pulling his ears or rubbing his eyes or yawning, but he's drastically overtired by the time he reaches 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11. By the time he's there, he's so gone, he probably just conks out. But again, because he's kept awake so long, Lena, he's going to take a short nap. Or short naps are not your issue here, you said, but it's going to be inconsistent. It's going to be sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 39 minutes. So I really recommend catching him at the right time, logging his habits. Go to watch some of the videos we did before on the nap fighting one specifically to help do that. Let's see, you just wrote something at the bottom. Hang on, I have to scroll down. He won't go to sleep. I try consistently. He refuses to sleep. I offer earlier, but he won't go to sleep. Well, my goodness, that is very frustrating, my dear. So there's a lot of different things that could be happening. A lot of different things. So if he's fighting sleep, I'm wondering what you're doing to help introduce sleep ahead of time, okay? And I'm just going to talk about this for a few minutes because this is really something we haven't talked about too much of preempting sleep, how the environment you actually help your baby sleep, and some babies are sensitive. It could take 20, 30 minutes to actually get their bodies in wind down mode to sleep. You can't just go from dancing and clapping and baby jazzercise and yoga and outside to suddenly in the dark room rocking them to sleep. Some babies need really ample time to transition from A, stimulation, excitement, to B, of sleep. So I'd recommend, Lena, trying to introduce a consistent wind down ritual, even if it's 20 minutes long, to help your baby transition. It just means taking your baby in a darker room, talking a little quieter, maybe changing your baby's diaper, lotioning, doing things, just not actually the process when you go to sleep, but starting to preempt sleep because some babies have a really hard time with it. Just like we go on a jog, we go on a run, we're not going to hop in our beds and expect to fall asleep. Not even that, all the pre-work that we do. We might take a shower. We hope we take a shower after a run or exercise or anything. I love to shower. I shower all the time anyway, just because I like it. But, we might brush our teeth. We might put on pajamas. Certain things, aside from the fact that our brains associate certain activities with sleep, it also helps our body get in go mode for sleep. So try using and introducing and incorporating certain ideas for preempting sleep for that wind down ritual because that's going to help him sleep also, okay? Let's see who else we did not go through here. That's Lena. Lena. Oh, we talked about Danielle. Deanne. How are you, Deanne? Let's see what you have to say. Okay. I have an 8-month-old exclusively breastfed, just playing with solids now. We co-sleep, which I'm cool with, but eventually want to transition her into a crib. Now I either nurse her or wear her to sleep. She wakes up a few times throughout the night for what I assume is comfort nursing. Probably, but could be that her body is also avidly hungry. During the day, she takes 3 to 4 cat naps lasting no more than 45 minutes. I usually wear her for a morning nap and try to put her down for afternoon nap, which means laying with her in our bed, usually nursing her to sleep and using your ninja skills. Yeah, we all know about that ninja skill. I'm sure you're awesome at it. Okay. Get out of bed, wake up 20 minutes later. Just looking for advice on how to get her to nap longer by herself. I'm scared I've created some bad habits. Okay, so yeah, sounds like your baby's totally dependent on your help. If you wear your baby every time you want to get her to sleep, if you nurse her and lay with her every time you want to get her to sleep, then obviously, if you've watched this so far, what's happening, Deanne? When she's starting to complete sleep cycle 1, she wants you to wear her and nurse her and be pressed up against your body to sleep. So, number 1, obviously make sure you have a good routine set up. Make sure you're not missing the sleep window. Make sure all, the technical aspects of what could throw things off are set. After that, you want to try to start teaching her how to wean herself from that sleep dependency. I'm not telling you to leave her to cry. Not at all, actually. I do not believe in crying methods at all, so I'm just trying to fix my ponytail. It's really bothering me. Hang on a sec. It's been a long day here. There are a lot of gentle methods you can use, but if she's completely dependent, I'm using this video as a mirror, who'd have thought? If she's completely dependent on needing to nurse all the time to sleep or needing to be held, you're going to want to try to replace that sleep dependency with something that phases you out of the picture a little more. So if she always wants to be nursed, maybe just use the carrier. If she always wants the carrier, maybe hold her a little further away from your body. If you're always laying in bed with her, maybe try to have your back face towards her. Different ideas you can incorporate that phase her off of that really, really strongly entrenched sleep dependency. And then as that gets better, phase her off of that. As that gets better, phase her off of that. And the more and more and more you help her, the better she will get at learning how to fall asleep on her own, which in turn means transitioning back to sleep on her own. Because whatever you're doing when your baby falls asleep, you are 100% setting the stage for how they're going to transition back to sleep. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Deanne. All right, let's go back to Allah's question here, and then I think I'm going to head out. Okay, this is an unrelated question, but I'm hoping you have time to answer. My now 15-week-old was a very fussy baby. At about 1.5 months ago, I worked really hard on keeping wake time short and helping my baby sleep longer. He eats every 2 hours. First nap's usually 45 minutes to an hour. Second nap, 2 hours. Third nap, 1 hour. Okay, so you definitely don't have a catnapping issue. Sometimes he only sleeps 1 hour at a time, and I have to take him another nap. Sleeps on average 4 hours a day. He became accustomed to rocking and swaddling. How do I wean him off from rocking for the naps? You want to teach him how to self-soothe. Okay. Also, is there a way for me to make him sleep longer during the day? He doesn't always give me a 2-hour stretch, and I find he's giving me 1 hour sleeps of about 4-hour naps on average. Okay. So yes, this is the third component of everything. Like I just said a few minutes ago, the end-all be-all goal is not that your babies are completely dependent on, in your case, swaddling or being rocked or being held or being fed or being this or being that. It's a short-term solution to help their bodies get used to transitioning and staying asleep longer. Once you have that set up and you're confident that your baby can do it, then you start weaning from the sleep dependency. So in your case, rocking and swaddling is your sleep dependency. I would say to maybe, and I'm just giving you the ideas of phasing yourself out, which I talk about all the time, which is my method of the gentle phase out method that I use with my families and my clients that I work with one-on-one. But instead of rocking your baby completely till your baby's in a deep, deep, deep sleep all the way, rock your baby till your baby's calm, relaxed, starting to fall asleep, starting to really get in a good place. Oh, video froze? I don't think anyone else had issues. I'm watching myself over here on this computer to make sure it worked well. Looks like it's working well. Well, you watch the replay. And put your baby down when your baby's starting to get in that drowsy but still consciously aware phase. And at that point, use other means to help your baby fall asleep. Holding, patting, touching, rock, doing whatever you can to help. Now, your baby's still a newborn, so you definitely don't want to use a full-fledged method right now, but the more you incorporate it, nap 1, nap 2, nap 3, bedtime, nap 1, nap 2, nap 3, bedtime, over and over and over and over and over, your baby is going to get better and better at learning to fall asleep with less and less and less of your help, and at that point, you can make a game plan as how you can phase yourself out of the picture, Allah. Do it gradually, work at your own pace, and do whatever you can to make sure that you don't push your baby to do something before they're ready. But, and a big but, your baby's not too little. Okay, you can teach babies how to fall asleep on their own and stay asleep on their own without intense crying as young as 6-7 weeks. Okay, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I do it with all of my kids and all of my babies personally, but also with all of my clients. So you definitely can do that, but it's all about being gradual, being in tune with what you think is important, and also making sure that you have the baseline set up properly, that your baby's body is rhythmically in that ready sleep mode, okay? I think those are all the questions here. I'm going to head out. Like I said, 10 p.m. is getting close to my bedtime. I wake up really early in the mornings, like before my kids, like 5:30. So I'm really tired now. Aubrey, I have to answer you. Okay. You need to go back. You missed it. Sorry, I still answered you. I don't know why it froze. Things are working here on my end, not like this morning. How long do you think a 7.5-month-old should sleep for each nap? So again, averages, right? But 7.5-month-old. Okay, so I would say a 7.5-month-old for each nap cumulatively. I use that word a lot. Do you ever use the word cumulatively? Not like a common word we all use. But in the span of a daytime, I would like to see usually 2 naps for a 7-month-old, sometimes 3. Babies usually are ready to transition from 3 naps to 2 between 6 to 9 months, so your baby's right there in the window. I would like to see a total of about 3 to 3.5 hours distributed between those 2 naps. So you could have a 2-hour nap and a 1-hour nap. You could have 2-hour-and-a-half naps. You know, you could have an hour if your baby still needs a nap, but I'd like to see around the 3 to 3.5 hour mark. Not too much more, because then you could be compensating for lost night sleep. He's in 2 naps. Okay, so within those 2 naps, like I said, hour and a half, or however you want to do it, as long as it's distributed between those 2 naps, is about that 3.5 hour mark. Okay? That is it. This was fun. We should do this at night sometime again, because I have, my water bottle here, and it was fairly quiet over here, but I'm sorry about this morning. I hope this answered all of your questions. I have to look and see actually what next week's thread is going to be. I'm going to be out of town next week, but I'm still going to try to hop in here and do the live. Pleasure, Aubrey. I will tell you all, I know all of you heard about Rested Moms Club when I was launching it and when we were starting it in the group. We're getting really excited here. We're getting, everything's really kind of getting in the groove over there. And I actually have another option for people who are interested. I'm actually giving a 7-day free trial to check out the Rested Moms Club. So you can check it out for 7 days, see what you like. For those of you who are new to the group, the Rested Moms Club is basically the entire system start to finish that I use with all of my one-on-one clients, all of my sleep groups, all of my higher-end clients. It's all in slideshows, in videos, in workbooks. It's kind of a little bit more of a do-it-yourself type of program, but we do have a private Facebook group where I hop in and do lives like this. We have question-answer sessions, and you have my guidance throughout the process because you see my whole slideshow starts to finish. You see you're in step number 1 of this, night number 3 of this. It's very, very systematic, and people are really liking it. So anyway, when push comes to shove, I just started doing a 7-day free trial, so you can check it out. If you don't like it, there's no commitment. You can leave. I will post the link as soon as this live is over, so you can all check it out. And forever, any of you who do want to try that, maximize it, okay? Because I don't want you to go into a 7-day trial trying out the Rested Moms Club. Don't look at the videos. Don't look at the slideshows. Don't do the workbook. Don't do the homework. Come and join us in the Facebook group. Ask all of your questions. I'm trying to set you all up with accountability partners so you have people in there with you. We're there for you as much as you want. It's a community that I'm really trying to build of people helping one another, just like this group. But again, since not all of you are following my method to a T, because we're all in different boats, we're all in different places, we're all in different ages, and also, I hop in here once a week, very different than my private group over there. So if you're interested in doing that, do it, but put your whole self into it for those 7 days to see if you really see results, because the more you put in, the more you will gain. All right, so that's that. Someone else asked a question. Anna. Oh, thanks, Jamie. You're sweet. I don't know about genius, but I know a lot about sleep. Okay. Now wakes up between 5:30 and 6. Early rising. Anna, I'm going to go, but you should watch the early rising question answer we did a few weeks back. That will answer your question about why your baby's waking up early. Okay, it's okay. It's okay, I'm ending. I wanted to just answer you. So I don't want to post all the different videos. It's going to get overwhelming. I'm going to say, watch this, watch this, watch. Go and look at all the previous videos we've done. They all have titles. I try to organize them. I'm going to organize this one after. So you can check it out. Like I said, if you're interested in checking out that 7-day free trial to Rested Moms Club, which is my whole system start to finish in a do-it-yourself type of framework with my guidance and a private Facebook group and everything, check out the link that I will post shortly. And if you're watching the replay, let me know if you have any questions. All right, have an amazing night.